G'day there guys, my morning coffee is the only thing that gets me through the day here. It's your boy Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the A-hole. I really hope that coffee cup doesn't fall off my bed and have a good day. Posted by user Throwaway Waitress Tip. Titled, Am I the A-hole for not tipping my girlfriend who was my waitress at a restaurant a large amount? We are both 21 and in college. We've been together for like a year or so. Anyway, she works part-time at a restaurant near campus which I went to. So my bill was $23.70, which I rounded to $25 with a $1.30 tip, which is around 5.5%. We were hanging out later that night, and she asked me why I tipped so little. I kind of explained that since she was my girlfriend, and since I already give her a lot of free stuff, a lot of free wine together is easily $300 in free wine over the last year, that it wasn't really necessary to tip higher. Now she's really annoyed with me and said that I should still have tipped better. Her service was nothing outstanding in my opinion, and while the food was pretty good, she didn't make it. The chef did. I don't know who's wrong here. I think you're wrong for this one. I think you should judge by her reaction that she expects you to give her a better tip, and $300 in free wine that you guys shared doesn't really make up for that, unfortunately. This is a relationship, and I'm sure she would have done better for you if she was in the same position as you were in this one. Your justification really isn't doing it for me, unfortunately. I think you need to try better next time, and you need to make up for it now. Obviously, it's dependent on relationships. Some dynamics would be more understanding, some wouldn't. But I would think a normal relationship, on average, would be upset that you only tipped $1.30 here. I feel like in American culture at least, that's poor form. Edit 2, okay. I just Venmo'd her $10. Edit 3, I love her and I see how I screwed up. Edit 4, the continued bashing despite realizing and fixing my mistake hurts. Sad face. And edit 5, bruh, who referred me to the crisis hotline? You're the a-hole. You had a chance to be cute and give her a little extra and make her feel good. Instead, you gave her less than the normally customary amount for a tip in the US, which is 15 to 20%. As a server, that tip is a compensation for horrible wages and a sign of appreciation for the service of bringing you your food. Just because she's your girlfriend doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve a good tip, and you giving her things or sharing wine doesn't equate to you disrespecting her in her place of work. That was also probably humiliating. I hope that her coworkers didn't know that you were her boyfriend. I can only imagine. Also, nice extra jab about her service not being up to snuff and how she didn't actually cook the food. Just way to stick to your crap-coated guns. And edit, it's been a while since I was a server, and I noticed that my standard percentages were low. I have to say the system in America is really fudging stupid. So you have food that you need to pay for, and then you also need to pay the salary of someone else's employee. Just dumb. In Europe, you give a tip to let the waiter know that he gave you a nice service, like a little bonus. Yeah, I can't say that I agree with the system at all, especially considering the ridiculous amounts of money that some restaurants can pull in. But he's living within the society that has these rules in place, and he disregarded his girlfriend rather openly for the sake of a couple bucks. The system being broken doesn't change the fact that his girlfriend had every right to feel put off by the snub. You're the a-hole. That was pretty boneheaded, OP. In the future, you can't barter wine you give your girlfriend willingly against her wage at work. And $300 of wine in a year? So like $25 a month? Congratulations, OP. You bought her the equivalent of a glass of wine each week for a year. I'm sure there was no benefit in there for you. You're the a-hole, and as a former waitress, I can tell you when my tips were low, management was not happy with me, since they have to make sure my pay is equal to minimum wage. They would ask me why this table felt it necessary to tip below 15%. No matter what, I told them that it was always my fault and I should have offered better service. Really, you couldn't spare an extra dollar to at least give her 10%? Also, a lot of places have the waitress tip out a percentage of the total bill back to the house. So if she had to do this, then she is literally losing money to pay back for the house for this bill. Posted by user Katie Eats Dick, titled, "Am I the a-hole for asking a customer, why are you even in here, and embarrassing them?" So I own a small business, specifically a card and gaming shop. We sell a plethora of gaming cards like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, various sports cards, and everything in between. We also carry a wide variety of t-shirts related to card games, sports cards, anime, etc., and have a huge gaming area where we hold card game tournaments where customers can come play board games or whatever they like. So what happened? This guy comes in the other day. I greet him and he starts looking around. After a few minutes, I tell him to let me know if there's anything I can help with. He then starts pointing at stuff and asking some high-key offensive/rude questions. Here are some examples of specific things he asked and said. "Holy crap, are those Pokemon cards? I thought those things went extinct a long time ago." And I said, "Yeah, we have packs, boxes, starter decks. They're actually really popular the past few years." And he said, "Wow, so parents buy these for their kids to shove in a bike spoke?" I said something about how people of all ages play competitively. We even host tournaments. Then he starts looking at the shirts and says, "How much are these shirts?" Actually, never mind. Some of them look cool, but I wouldn't want anyone to think that I'm into this crap. And I say, well, they're $16.99. Also, he says, "So these are the cartoons that all those emo kids watch, right?" While looking at the anime section. At this point, I was getting extremely uncomfortable with him just crapping all over my store and effectively the customers I serve on a daily basis. Then he walks past the empty table section where we usually host card game tournaments. By the way, we are not hosting any tournaments until certain pandemic restrictions lift. And he says loudly, "So do the neckbeards have to rent a seat or something to play, or do you just let them mooch off of the store's aircon while they play?" At this point, he had been in the store for well over 30 minutes and had said and asked several disrespectful and offensive questions/statements, and I had had enough. I had customers in the store, and I was ticked that he was potentially making them feel uncomfortable or like they were somehow losers just because they have these hobbies, because that's how I was feeling. I let out a big sigh and said, "Why are you even in a gaming shop if you hate everything about cards and gaming?" He was very clearly embarrassed, spent a few awkward silent minutes walking back around, and left out the door. I consciously didn't say goodbye or anything because I didn't want it to come out like, "Have a nice day," in the "F you" type of tone. My employee told me that it was rude of me to say that to him, and I probably made him feel like he wasn't welcome in our hobby community, when it's supposed to be all-inclusive, which I preach to my employees religiously. I think I might be the a-hole for how I handled it, but I feel like I was justified after the things he said. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for saying what I said and embarrassing him? Edit 1. This was a buff, decently attractive 30-something-year-old if that matters, not some super out of touch with the times older person. Older folks come in all the time, and if they don't get the hobby, I just try my best to explain it, but they're never walking around calling everything dumb. Edit 2, I'm a woman if that matters to anyone, and Edit 3, I'm heavily and obviously pregnant, so I doubt it has anything to do with his trying to weirdly spark a convo with me, but I've been wrong before. I mean, it's your shop. I feel like you can do whatever the hell you want in your shop. And this situation warranted that kind of question. You weren't attacking him, but he was attacking everything in your shop. Why is it suddenly not okay for you to question that and kind of break from the narrative of being a friendly store person that, yeah, we're inclusive here, we're great? Why is it the one time you slip up, that's completely unacceptable in some people's eyes? I don't understand that. I think you were completely warranted in this situation for what you had asked him. You literally just asked him, "Why do you hate everything here? What's going on? Why did you come here if you hate everything?" Because I would have done the same myself. Why are you wasting my time and bringing everyone else down? What's wrong with you? And I mean, it could have had something to do with the fact that you're a woman and he was trying to get with you or something like that, but I feel like that's a stretch. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole for this situation. Not the a-hole. All-inclusive does not mean including people who are bullying your customer base. It means allowing anyone who wants to participate without being an a-hole to other people to do so. This is what I preach to my employees. If someone comes in asking about Magic, but you're a Pokemon fan, you don't have to pretend to prefer Magic, but you do need to be stoked to help them find and enjoy something that they love. That's where I was second-guessing myself. All-inclusive doesn't mean putting up with someone bullying my customer. I'm gonna add on something one of my old bosses said to me. It's my job to argue with the customers. It's your employee's job to make everyone feel welcome and included, and it's your job to tell the a-holes to F off. Part of being an inclusive community is about keeping out people who are going to harm and try to alienate people in that community. Otherwise, it will foster an environment that does exclude people who aren't okay with being harassed. For instance, if you ran a group and were like, we're inclusive to black people and to racists, you would actually be excluding black people, because they're being made to feel unwelcome by the racists. Being inclusive is about allowing people from different backgrounds, not about allowing a-holes. You're still allowed to have a general code of conduct. I don't feel like you were that rude to him, not the a-hole. The paradox of tolerance. In order to maintain a tolerant society, that society must be intolerant of intolerance. There are two things I can't stand in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch. Posted by user Wafos32, titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to open the door for my ex-wife because this isn't my week with my daughter? So ever since my ex-wife and I split up, my daughter has been picking fights with her. Nonetheless, our custody agreement worked out to me getting her around 1 week out of the month. Yesterday, my ex-wife starts ringing the doorbell 5 times in succession. I looked at my phone and see a bunch of texts saying that she was done with my daughter's attitude and needed to be away from her. My new wife is currently pregnant, and her sisters are staying over at our home. I already had my week with my daughter at the start of September, where she lived at the house. My wife doesn't want to deal with her stepdaughter right now because she's pregnant and just wants to hang out with her friends and sisters in peace. Especially because she says she feels my daughter giving her stink eyes. My ex-wife kept on ringing the doorbell, and my daughter texted saying she wanted to stay with me for a while. However, I refused to open the door because legally, this wasn't my 1 week a month, and my wife and her sisters want to drive up an hour to Hilton Head to do shopping and have a mini staycation. We can't do that with a 14-year-old around, and they've been planning this for a while now. Am I the a-hole? My ex-wife keeps sending me thanks a lot texts, and my daughter says that nobody wants her, but that's her mother's doing at the moment. I feel like you're both failing your daughter as parents here in this situation. You know, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have these fights between the parents, and we could put up with the 14-year-olds and their mood swings and how they're argumentative. And you know, it would be grand if we could go up to Hilton Head and do shopping and have a mini staycation. But at the same time, you have a 14-year-old daughter, and your wife doesn't want to look after her. Why do you not want to look after her? An hour's drive up to Hilton Head is a luxury. It's not a necessity of life, and yes, you legally don't have to look after her, and you legally don't have to do it. But I look down on both of you guys as parents, and I think you both suck, and are a-holes in this situation for not putting your daughter's needs over your own needs. I can get the ex-wife wanting to not spend time with her because she's fighting too much, and I can get you wanting your own time off, but your daughter is the one losing right now, and she's losing during a very important cycle and growth in her life. I don't know how to describe it, but it sounds like she needs support now more than ever, and she's aware that you guys don't want to deal with her. That's not a good feeling. Everyone sucks here. Don't you think that maybe the reason your daughter might give your wife the stink eye is because it's obvious her own mother doesn't want her, and her father's putting his new wife above his child, who also seems to not want her? I'd be pretty pissy too if I was her. You're the a-hole. Your wife's the a-hole, and her mother is the a-hole. Edit to add judgment, everyone sucks here except your poor daughter. Your daughter wants you, you are refusing to see her. You're the a-hole. Exactly. And at this rate, the days of her wanting you will be numbered. Keep it up, and she'll want nothing to do with you, possibly for the rest of her life. But since you seem to want nothing to do with her, maybe that'll be for the best. She's definitely going to remember how no one wanted her, but OP is too busy playing house with his new wife to recognize it. Worse, I think he recognizes it and doesn't care. She literally texted him saying no one wants her. OP doesn't get to feign ignorance. Not that I don't think he won't try. Crappy parents love to pull the "I had no idea" card, true or not. Everyone sucks here. Let your wife go on her staycation with her sisters. You take care of your kid. Or take the kid with. He says they can't go to the Hilton Head with 14-year-olds. Yes, you can. He didn't want his daughter and ex to see how much money was going to be spent on the new wife and kid, because he probably only spends the minimum on the 14-year-olds. That's an excellent point. You're probably right. Everyone sucks here. Two parents that can't be bothered with their own daughter. Wow. Your new wife being pregnant is no excuse to not want your daughter in just because it's not your week. Your ex is essentially giving up on her, and you're saying your pregnant new wife is more important than being there for your daughter. Poor girl. She has no parents willing to step up for her. No wonder she has problems. Posted by user Slafiola, titled, "Am I the a-hole for using money earmarked for my younger daughter's college tuition for her older sister's legal issues?" My daughters are 19 and 16. My oldest daughter, 19, was a varsity athlete, straight A student, 35 ACT. She got into a good private college but is taking a gap year. Her college fund is secured because her father, who I never married, is paying for the entirety of it. I was married to my youngest daughter's father for 10 years before he died, and I've had to save for her college fund on my own. When my oldest daughter was 15, she was arrested for riding off with a seller's bike while claiming to test ride it. I thought she bought it with babysitting money until around 2 weeks later when the police showed up. I ended up spending a lot of money on a lawyer that successfully negotiated the situation so it could be handled civilly. She's cleaned up since then and had this new lease on life. She's 16 years old, or was 15 at the time. I feel like that's a stretch. But because she's been working with unreliable co-workers in a barely supervised store, she is now in the middle of a missing money and inventory situation. She got fired, and then an officer called to question her. She promises me that she wasn't the culprit. I called up a lawyer. He calls the detective on our behalf and tells us that this was serious. I know that a charge like this would ruin her life, but the lawyer has a track record of successfully resolving these types of cases. He asked for a $5,000 retainer. The only place where I have this kind of money is in the fund earmarked for my younger daughter's college. The money coming from my 19-year-old's father is to be used only for education purposes. So I ended up getting the $5,000 for the retainer and giving it to the lawyer. But now, just from the amount of time my daughter spends on the phone with her lawyer, I can tell that we're probably going to be out at least $10,000. When my younger daughter found out that it was coming from her college fund, she started screaming at the both of us, and she yelled, "Stop calling your lawyer so much," at her sister. Am I the a-hole? I will try my hardest to replace my daughter's college fund. There's around $20,000 in the funds, but I couldn't just let my oldest daughter drown. It's well known that people with poor or no legal representation go to jail. Wow, this is a very hard rock and a hard place moral situation going on here. Like, do you save this daughter that continues to put herself in stupid situations? Do we screw over the younger daughter who has done nothing wrong and has a dead father and doesn't have a guarantee of going into college without debt or anything and has $20,000 saved up for her? Why isn't the father of the older daughter helping at all? What's going on in this situation? There's a lot of unanswered questions, but the fact that she got into this situation where $5,000 is missing is a very serious crime. And, given her track record of stealing someone's bike and not caring about that, wow, this is a tough situation because, wow, I can't say that it wouldn't be her doing this one, but you don't know. I can't blame you for doing what you can to save your daughter. Anyone would do anything to help bail out their daughter in this situation. But your younger daughter got screwed over in the process of this and doesn't have a backup, whereas this older daughter, who was just screwing around constantly, does have a backup in her father. You're the a-hole for doing this. You're screwing over your youngest daughter. Who's to say that your oldest daughter won't strike again and do some other bull crap? You're the a-hole. You and your oldest daughter are a-holes. Why isn't your oldest daughter responsible for taking out a loan to pay her lawyer? She's an adult. Why isn't she responsible for putting the money back in her sister's college fund? She's an adult. And why bring up her history of sticky fingers at all unless you assumed that she did the crime? Give it a couple of years and she'll drop some woe is me, wah 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 post that her younger daughter wants nothing to do with her and admit the fact that she used her college fund to bail out the daughter she enables. All she did was victimize her younger daughter. It's beyond pathetic. I'm guessing older daughter can't get a loan because she doesn't have a job because she was fired for stealing. Actually, why can't she pay for the lawyer with her ill-gotten funds? If they're spending the time and money to prosecute and deal with the best lawyer in the country, it seems like it's a high-value theft with some solid evidence. If they can't prove it, or it wasn't that much, I'd think they would just fire her. Yeah, I suspect the daughter did do it. I worked at a vet as a ward attendant, and money went missing. Everyone was questioned by police at the station. Everyone. No way I could have stolen it because it was in a safe that only the techs and the vets had access to with a key. I did not have this key, but they still interrogated me to the point I was convinced they thought I did it. But that's just their questioning style, I guess. I never had to lawyer up at any point because I didn't do it. You got lucky. Talking to the police without a lawyer is playing Russian roulette with 5 bullets. Remember, kids, with the cops, every day is shut the F up Friday. No lawyer, no talk. You're the a-hole. Stop bailing out your eldest and maybe she'll stop fudging up. Do you think the store doesn't have cameras? Come on. Good odds your kid did the deed and you're gullible as hell and throwing away your youngest daughter's future so the elder can F up again. You're the a-hole. You're essentially stealing from your youngest daughter. It isn't fair to her that the older sister gets into trouble, and the money used to bail her out is the money designated for her education. And you used an expensive lawyer too. This sucks. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enable me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.